Today, this is a great treat for me. You guys know that I love mythology, and so I wanted to talk about some really great mythology, some stuff that we really need to understand, and that is Ragnarok. You might ask, why is it that I would care about Ragnarok, right? I'm not maybe Germanic, I'm not an Asgardian. Well, let me tell you why you also need to care about Ragnarok. So let me lay what Ragnarok essentially is for all you guys, okay? Now, per the Norse mythology, Ragnarok is essentially the end of times. It is essentially the ultimate battle between order and chaos that is finally settled. This is it. This is the big battle. This is what all of this stuff has been setting up for. Okay? This is what they envision, or their mythology tells us, is how the world ultimately ends. And the reason that matters to you is if you look directly below me here, you see I've got some nice pictures here. Got Loki here, some of the big players. Got Loki here. We got Thor here. We know about these guys. We have the Midgardian serpent. You may have read about mythology, one of the great snakes. Fenris Wolf, Odin, Balder, all the players. This is why it gets a little personal for all of us. This is what they call Yidrasil. This was in Norse mythology. This is the tree of life. And if you may be familiar with, the Marvel comics rendition of Thor, they kind of show you this rainbow bridge. It was really about accessing all these other 9 worlds that they theorize exist. 9 may sound familiar to you guys, since I always talk about the number 9 as well. So something about that number 9 that reflected all the rest of us. And here's the thing. Ragnarok is going to get everybody. This is not just going to stop at their world. They are fighting this battle all this time for you, to keep all of our worlds safe. So this is why you all need to be up on your Ragnarok mythology so you can understand what's really going to happen, okay? Because this is how it goes down. So on 2 sides of the screen, you see I have them loosely divided into the forces of chaos or evil here, represented by Loki. And then, of course, these are the forces of the Aesir, as they were called, who, by the way, are linked to the Taurus star system. We've talked a little bit about the constellational connections between mythologies and the star systems. This is where the mythology of the Aesir comes from, that these were beings who came from the Taurus star system. And we had talked about other such civilizations. When we talk about the Pleiadians, I had mentioned that the Pleiadians were also connected to that, or the Pleiades star cluster is also in the Taurus star constellation. So they're also reflected in that, except in the Norse mythology, they were known as the Vanir. You want to remember that? You should take some notes on that. Or don't take notes. Just come back and watch the video again. We all win that way. So we've got some heavyweight guys here in terms of their power. We all understand Odin. Now, Odin is the oldest of the Aesir. He's the All-Father. He's the wisest of them all. And his role is really as the powerhouse, right? He sets everything up. It is his strength that literally powers the whole kingdom, Asgard. It all dwells from him. Now, up above, you see Thor. And Thor is, for the Asgardians, the ultimate champion. He is armed with a magical hammer, a belt that doubles his strength. He's got iron gloves. He has a chariot drawn by these incredible goats that also would fight with him, and he could eat them, and they would magically return. So Thor is very well equipped for this. And Thor's big battle is always against the Midgardian serpent. And there are other mythologies about this big serpent where Thor seeks to, Thor's whole conquest is to stop Ragnarok. Just something that Marvel Comics actually got correct. He did want to stop Ragnarok, and he was actively looking for ways to do it. So he actually goes out and hunts down this giant Midgardian serpent who, per their mythology, right now is encircling the earth. You guys probably didn't even see it, but there's a giant snake. I don't see how you guys didn't see it the last time you were on a flight, but there is literally a giant snake encircling the earth right now that Thor has scrapped with several times. That just gives you the levity of Thor's ability, okay? So, and then the last one we see down here is, for the Norse, is Balder. And Balder is the golden child of the Asgardians, and he actually is the most immune. He was blessed by his mother, Frigg, who made sure that no substance or creatures would hurt him. Of course, Loki found a loophole around that. He ended up in the underworld dead, but he gets to come back at the time of Ragnarok, so he'll be a great ally. Then, of course, we see Loki, and Loki, of course, is the adoptive stepson of Odin. Really, he was a captive. He was a Jotun. The Asgardians or the Aesir had gone to war and conquered them. They see this baby there. They always tell this touching story in the Marvel movie. But really, I'm taking your kid so that you don't ever do anything. I'm taking your heir. I got your heir at my house. There is no more domination than that. We really conquered you guys there. This is a good one. So now we've got your heir. You can't do anything about it, and your kingdom is greatly reduced. But for some reason, and perhaps it's because of fate, Ragnarok has to happen. Because you would question why he would bring Loki into his household and allow him to become this exceptionally powerful individual. So powerful that Loki literally sires these two hideous monsters that you see here. The Fenris Wolf was a giant wolf. You saw the comic book. And the Midgardian Serpent, who is a monstrous, he's big enough to encircle the world. And I'm not even including his daughter, who would be their personification of hell. They called her Hela. So this is Loki's role in it. So finally, at the time of Ragnarok, when the time of chaos has finally dawned upon everybody, it's going down. You can see it's behind me. Ragnarok is literally happening right now behind me. This is the loudest place that I've ever been in my entire life. If it wasn't for these great noise-canceling headphones, you guys would be fully hearing Ragnarok right now. But I'm here to report to you guys how Ragnarok happens and whether we can stop it, right? Because it affects all you guys now. You know this. You've seen Yidrasil. And let me tell you right now, you can't stop. There's nothing you can do to stop Ragnarok. It's going down. It's inevitabilities, right? Thanos said he was inevitable. This is literally inevitable. So all the forces come to fight that day, and everybody matches up. You know, you've seen someone and you've always been kind of looking at this guy like, yeah, I'm going to get you. That is a couple of these battles here. So you see Thor and the Midgardian Serpent, they're just locked into it. They're like, we're going at it full bore. This is an epic battle between the god who represents thunder, is the ultimate champion of the Aesir, armed with this magical enhanced hammer that was literally created from a dying star. There's no more powerful weapon that the Aesir produced than that hammer. And these two, this giant snake whose breath is poisonous, who spews poison, this is the battle that he's locked into. And Thor will not be daunted in his task. And ultimately, throughout the battle, he lays a fierce blow and a thunder strike and slays the giant snake. And the Midgardian Serpent is dead. But the cost of it is Thor's life himself, as he had already been poisoned as he was bitten by the snake. But willingly does he give his life to make sure all of us are safe. And then we have Odin and the Fenris Wolf. I don't know why this is such a personal battle, but Fenris was all about it. He wanted to devour Odin. And on this day, he actually does. Odin loses his battle to the Fenris Wolf. Ultimately, Fenris Wolf is able to slay Odin himself, the king of the Aesir. But he is slain by none other than Balder. So Balder gets his revenge, so to speak. He avenges his father. Where Loki is, he's out causing mischief around here. I don't know of any individual battles that take place with Loki. But at the end of it, finally with the all-powerful Allfather dead, with their champion Thor dead, the forces of chaos will ultimately claim Asgard, the central weapon against holding back chaos for all these thousands of years, all these generations. So they are gone. So I'm sorry, guys. We lose this fight. This is what happens. And per their mythology, that chaos will reign throughout all of the 9 realms now. And that means all of us are going to end up in the end of days as well. So there you have it. You can watch it go down in Asgard. Put a little money down on it. I'll put my money on the forces of chaos, to be really honest with you. But that's how it all ends. But there's a silver lining, even under all this like battle and fighting and death, and Odin dies and Thor's dies and the Midgard Serpent's gone. I'm sure his mom was upset about that. Fenris Wolf is dead, and I'm sure Loki gets his in the end. But what comes out of this is a rebirth. So Ragnarok is the time when chaos overwhelms order, but principally what their mythology tells us is that form of order will ultimately return itself. And it returns itself under a new setup. Aesir. Thor has a son who somehow survives into the next life. I believe Balder also is reincarnated and becomes the king of the Aesir in the next life, the Golden Boy. And I'm sure that by the mythology, they start a whole new pantheon of gods. And I'm sure there's also another pantheon of chaotic spirits, Jotun or frost giants or fire demons who are all set to again destroy Asgard and thus all the 9 realms, because that's typically, or that is what the cycle is per Norse mythology. So this is just a little tidbit, a little backstory on how Norse mythology kind of lays out, how me and you are caught up in Ragnarok, whether we knew it or not. You know, maybe you guys want to go and throw Thor a couple of extra weapons. Maybe that staves it off. Maybe we all get to live a bit longer. But maybe you're on the side of chaos. Now you know who to team up with thanks to your guy here. So thanks for stopping in, Nine World Chronicles. We're just breaking down a little bit of mythology. I'll get back to some more profiles and actual research for you guys here shortly, but I just want to do a little piece and talk about mythology, which I love so much. Thanks as always for stopping in, and always like and subscribe and go watch more videos.